fall back to the land of these foam-throated hills, where we rest when we can, and the old man's body lay down still. 'Cause you sailed me across to where the quiet life flows. All the rock that broke off and drifted here from the wide world's coast, and here we remember the days before memory was born, when these same salty waves chose our wrecks and tugged at dead men's oars, and we gather driftwood bones and count the ghosts in the grain. Well, now the old sun's bruise is in your eyes again. The hours get small with all the old drunken songs, so let's just sleep where we fall and drink the moon before our time here is gone. 'Cause you sailed me across to where the quiet life floats. All the rock that broke off and drifted here from the wide world's coast.
Thank you very much. Hello. It's very lovely to be here with you all tonight in this fantastic venue. Thank you all for coming out to listen to the Lost Songs of Scilly tonight. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Piers. I live on the islands. I live on the tiny island of St Agnes, which is about a mile across and has a population of 70-ish, probably round about the number of people in this room right now. This is my very good friend John, who lives in Camberwell.
Hello.
And,
I'm a fraud!
Yeah. But John has been visiting the islands for lots and lots of years and has been an absolutely integral part of this mission to set the islands to music. So everything you hear tonight is inspired by Scilly. So we're going to do our best to conjure up the islands in this room, so that those of you who've been before can sort of look on it as a very cheap holiday, and if you've not been before, then maybe you'll be enticed to. Actually, can I just take a roll call? Stick your hands up if you've been to Scilly before. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. So home crowd then. This should be an easy fixture. So this next song is one of the very first songs that we wrote in response to the islands. It's called Church on the Beach, and it was inspired by the tiny island church on St Agnes, which, as pretty much everyone here knows, is an incredible building. It's very small, very simple and plain, and right on the water's edge, right next to the lifeboat station that existed up until the 1920s. And there's nowhere on the islands that you feel so much the sense that the community is absolutely at the mercy of the sea. There are plaques on the wall and graves in the graveyard which tell of huge loss of life at sea out on the dangerous western rocks. That bell you're hearing is a field recording of the actual bell at St Agnes Church, and the sea is the actual sea.
Church on the beach, graves in the grasses, plaques on the walls, centuries of losses, the names of men who put to sea. In wind and storm, now in the lee of the church on the beach, where the sea reaches everyone we love. Of the church on the beach, where the sea breaches everything we have. Sailors and songs, heroes and lovers, houses of grief, islands of mothers, whose pain is etched in brass and stone. A place, a date, so much is shown. In the church on the beach, where the sea reaches everyone we love. In the church on the beach, where the sea breaches everything we have. waves on the sand, rising and falling, it is still the same. The tithes are paid, it costs the same when men are laid by the church on the beach where the sea reaches everyone we love. By the church on the beach where the sea breaches everything we have. Thank you. Is everybody okay? Are you sure? We had to do a shipwreck song. You've just got to do a shipwreck song. If you make an album about Scilly, you have to do a shipwreck song. Although this one, would you call this a shipwreck song?
Yes.
But it's a little boat. In my head, it's a little boat. Does that still count as a...
Could be a boat wreck song.
Boat wreck. Little miniature vessel wreck song about two lovers taking a boat out to see the islands from afar. And while they're out, the weather turns. And like all good shipwreck songs, it all goes very pear-shaped. Which is the actual nautical term. This is called Evie. Found no home nor halfway sound to keep me from the draw of the briny spray. Well, the closest I did come to dropping my anchor down was laying my heart down for Evie on that New Year's Day. I saw the world in her eyes, the world in her eyes, the world in her eyes. By the grace of the sea, Evie, go down easy with me. How she took my hand neath the morning cloud. She stepped on board and she laughed just like a child. And our breath trailed through the cold as I sailed as slowly westbound, to show her that the island she loved was truly cruel and wild. Saw the world through her eyes, the world through her eyes, the world through her eyes. By the grace of the sea, Evie, go down easy with me. the sky plunged around us deep and dark. The waves rising up like walls of clay. She held me close and a cold fist closed around my heart as the boat splintered swift beneath us on that New Year's Day. Only ocean in our eyes, only ocean in our eyes, only ocean in our eyes. By the grace of the sea, oh Evie, go down easy with me, yeah. By the grace of the sea, oh Evie, go down easy with me, yeah. By the grace of the sea, oh Evie, go down easy with me, yeah. By the grace of the sea, oh Evie, go down easy, go down easy, go down easy with me. Thank you. There's a tide in the wide world that calls you away, my love. There's a tide in the wide world that calls you away. How we are rocked, wild and free, carved by the cold island seas. There is a tide in the wide world that calls you away. There's a tide in the wide world that we will call home, my love. There's a tide in the wide world that we will call home. Our dreams will dive with the moon-drunk shoals to pick at our landlocked souls. There is a tide in the wide world that we will call home. Oh, but how I loved you right over the horizon line, for all those lonesome times. There's a tide in the wide world that turns on us slow, my love. There's a tide in the wide world that turns on us slow. Hear the drowned millions moan, rising to down our home. Well, there is a tide in the wide world that turns on us slow. Oh, but how I loved you right over the horizon line, for all those lonesome times. There's a tide in the wide world that calls you away, my love. There's a tide in the wide world that calls you away. And how we are rocked, wild and free, carved by the cold island seas. There is a tide in the wide world that calls you away. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Just a little bit of folk music for you there. So that last tune was called Land's End, which obviously is the most southwesterly point of the mainland, before you hit the Atlantic and then 28 miles on to the Isles of Scilly. And below the waves in that stretch of water is thought to be the lost land of Lioness, a mythical Arthurian legend of a kind of inundation event where the tide rolled in one day and drowned an entire civilization, cities and churches, etc. Fishermen still claim that they can hear church bells under the waves and that they bring casement windows up in their nets, but that's fishermen for you. Any fishermen in? Yes? Excellent. Camden fishermen. Let's hear it for them. Oh.
Yes, I'm supposed to say something here. What is it that I meant to say?
This is the bit where you plug our merchandise.
Yes, we have a little retail zone.
You're such a businessman, you are. You're
sorry,
like cutthroat.
I'm just enjoying myself. It's nice playing music. Look at all these lovely faces. If you want to bring your faces closer to ours in the interval, you'd be very welcome. Not too close, just, close enough to come and chat to us. I'm not doing this very well. We've got some merch. If you want to come and grab some music, we'll be loitering around here. We've got CDs. Does anyone play CDs anymore? Nobody knows. But we've got books as well. We made a book to go with the CD so that you can read. Piers has written loads of beautiful stuff about making music on the islands over 15 years. More than 15 years. And there's some sheet music and lyrics and some artwork. So come and have a chat with us. Piers is brandishing the book as we speak. Are you going to read something from it?
I think I will do.
Yes.
That last tune, Land's End, is kind of inspired by the idea of inundation, and you can't live on an island without being very aware of how the sea nibbles away a little bit of the coastline each year. The island gradually shrinks. Scilly doesn't have it quite as bad as some parts of the world in the current climate crisis. Parts of the Pacific are particularly badly affected. They're very low-lying, and sea level rise is having a kind of dramatic and pretty imminent effect. And this next poem, which I wrote and tune to go with it, is called Cloud Island, and it was inspired by something I read about the Pacific Island nation of Tuvalu, who have taken this incredible decision to upload their culture and their administrative affairs to the internet, to the cloud, so that when the island becomes uninhabitable, which isn't sadly far away, and they're forced to live elsewhere in the world, they will still have access to their sense of island identity, which is a kind of extraordinary story of our modern world. Cloud Island. A digital migration is underway as the tide updates its memory. Pixel by pixel, grain by grain, islands are lifted from the charts. Data centers in the north struggle to stay cool. The Pacific probes coral beneath islanders' homes. Salty water bubbling up under the TV. Tuvalu Mo Te Atua, the first digital island nation. Thank you very much. We're going to take a short
Thank
break
you.
now. See you in a bit.
Hello, everybody okay? Nice break. Nice break. Sorry. We've been on tour for quite a long time, Piers and I. Two weeks-ish?
Can you tell?
2 weeks. We're nearing the end now.
In so many ways.
We'd like to play you a song about pubs. Does anybody like pubs? No. Was that you that just said no? No, it was somebody on there.
It's Big Toby.
So the pub's on Scilly. are very important, and you really feel when a pub is thriving and it's pulling people in the community together to celebrate music, to have a bit of a knees up, to just sit around and chat. You know, a pub is such an integral part of any small community. And on this tour, and when I tour with my own band as well, we see pubs just sort of falling off the map everywhere where you go and closing. It's happening where I'm from as well, in West Yorkshire, and we feel that something really important is being lost when these places of gathering and sharing music disappear. So we wrote a little, this is quite a new song actually, and it's an ode to the boozer. And it's kind of set in Scilly pubs. And it's called Locked In Down by the Shore. There's a room still creaks like a sea-worn ship, and it rocks where the tide is chewing up the land. Till many a morning we'd sing and we'd sip in the old pub built by long-buried hands. Well, me granny pulled pints here, fresh out of school, mopping up puddled seawater and bile. For a woman like her, the times could be cruel, with her fire for the future and that deep dreaming smile. Well, the walls do talk, and they still tell tall tales, and the old rusted sign still swings in the storm. For all the souls locked in down by the shore. Trawlers and freight boats she would watch from the bar, and in come the men who breathe freedom out there. A fisherman's grin caught her eye from afar. He smelled of fish guts and the cold salty air. In a lock-in one night, all red-faced with the rum, she told him, I'd die for your life on the sea. I've been wasting my days behind this old beer pump. Oh, one day I'll be gone and you'll know I got free. So when the lights get low, out comes the moonshine. We drink to forget what this life might be for. We are the souls locked in down by the shore. Fast forward 10 years and she's still pulling pints. 2 kids at her feet and a babe in her arms, and her fisherman fresh from the waves every night. They would drink their kids' health, still lost to love's charms. But some mornings he'd catch her staring out to sea, retracing the past with the loss in her eyes. Her travels, her mysteries, who she might have been. Oh, this life's but a dream, and baby, I still got time. Time now. So when the old bell tolls, drink like it's your last, for we all know that key's gonna turn in the door. For all the souls locked in down by the shore. Thank you.
The locals move the hills around at night. A stone armada moors in the harbour at low tide. Sleep with an open hand, and a dunnock nests in the palm, raises its young. Lord Harold lounges in his beachside grave, eye sockets full of the west, pink sea thrift crowning his skull, an acetylene wand of purple agapanthus in his fossil fist. This crossroad shrine is, in fact, a shop. A bowl of eggs, 6 carrots, an honesty box. Looking down, the stars see constellations in the firmament of beacons and buoys. Samson's castaway snuffs out his hurricane lamp, then slides in his tomb. Along the verge, a dozen blonde narcissi are walking to school.
Thank you very much. So in that kind of little ambient moment, you first of all heard a poem which was written by the poet laureate, Simon Armitage, when he was on Scilly. And it kind of captures both the sort of kind of pastoral simplicity of island life and the kind of timelessness of life on Scilly. And then we played a tune called Maypole. Maypole's a settlement on St Mary's, just a farm and a few cottages really. But it's an indication to me that there's a tradition of dancing and music making to celebrate the 1st of May on Scilly. There's no surviving traditional music, unfortunately, which is why we've had to kind of reimagine these lost songs on Scilly. But yes, it's kind of so that tune was conceived as a kind of portrait almost of a dance that might once have happened on Scilly. And we've asked the tunes on this new album to do a bit more work than folk tunes normally do, to tell a story, to have a narrative, a bit like a song without words, really. And this next tune is no different. It's called Douro, which is a shipwreck. And as John said in the first half, there are a lot of shipwrecks on Scilly. The whole place is scattered with the remains of wrecks. And what these kind of wrecks tell us is how central Scilly has been in maritime history. We think of it as being very remote and untouched by world events, but actually there are shipwrecks from the Spanish Armada, from Civil War, from the Great Wars of the 20th century, the Napoleonic Wars. So it turns out Scilly was absolutely kind of in the centre of a hub of world affairs. And Douro, that is funny, I know, but you know. Anyway, the next bit's not so funny, unfortunately. Douro was a shipwreck discovered on the Western Rocks with a cargo of manillas, which are brass bands that were used in the transatlantic slave trade. And it's a really kind of powerful thought, I think, that somewhere as remote and innocent as Scilly is still kind of tainted with that, with the mark of that dark period in human history.
I'm just going to tune up, and then I'm going to tell you something. I tried to do the two at the same time the other night, and it just took ages. And everyone was going, John, just do one at a time. Were they, Piers?
They were, John. Stop talking and tune the bloody thing, right?
Okay, I'm done it. So this song is one of the first that I wrote about Scilly, pretty much. I'd like to just briefly tell you the story of how I met Piers. The story has got longer every night on tour, and this is one date before the end of our tour, so strap in. I was in the pub on St Agnes. I worked in the Turk's Head. Has anybody been to the Turk's Head?
Hey!
Fabulous pub on St Agnes, and I worked one summer when I was at university, washing dishes and dropping food and getting shouted at by the chef. A man who learnt how to mop in prison taught me how to mop a floor properly. It was a very formative time for me. And one day I was there with my hands in industrial strength dish soap, getting contact dermatitis all up my arms, and in runs Piers with a whistle in hand, probably kind of glistening from the sea, salt water, and maybe he'd been doing a gig race out on a gig.
This is getting better,
glistening
John.
with salt water and so it's getting quite erotic actually.
Yeah. Well, it's always a risk. Right?
And he shouted, "I need a guitarist now," because he had a gig in the pub that night and his guitar player had fallen in the sea or gone somewhere, I don't know, they dropped out. So he needed somebody to back him up. And I said, well, I can play a few chords. So he took me into the store, led me into the store cupboard of the pub. We sat on a fridge, this bit's true, and amongst the tins of beans and the industrial strength bleach, he taught me a few chords to his songs. I simplified them because they were a bit jazzy for me. So I reworked them into something I could understand, and then we played that night in the pub, and we've been playing music together ever since.
Let's hear it for John and his story. That was quite a tale.
And shortly after that we made a record on the islands. A lot of the music that we've got here has all been recorded on the islands, and this song was on one of the very first ones. It's called To My Lordless Sons. To my lordless sons, well, these notes are for you, and I write this down fast, 'cause the truth's on the move. Now the ink it may smudge through the damp and sodden years, from here to the day you're born. And as I scratch this down on the back of my beer mat, your ancestors danced the devil out of their workmen's hats. And there'll be nights like this for you, when you will shepherd all your dreams off, and the dancers weave around you where you sleep. Know that I first met your maker, we were down at the travelling summer fair, where we ran from stall to stall and caught all the moonlight in our hair. And here comes that feeling much like pain that wrings the daylight from your soul, when you burden one with all the love you hold. There'll be nights like this for you, when the drink will turn you in, when the stars will fall like arrows on the madness of all things. You might hate some for their kindness, and you may well love some for their sins. On 1,000 homeless journeys off the trail, and on your birthdays you'll dance down at the old town inn, and on the coastline you'll dig holes, and at the festivals you might sing. Then someday you may have no choice but to sleep sound in the ruins of your own body, in the doorway of this life. To my lordless sons, when your dust is long gone, and your names lay with the junk down in the basement of the gods, don't say I never warned you with this useless drunken song, that the ride is wild and perfect, and without you it goes on. Yeah, the ride is wild for all, and without you it goes on, on and on.
Let's hear it for John Elliott. Thank you. So we got to that point in the evening, I'm afraid, where we need to sing you a song of farewell. I know, it's very sad. And this is a song about leaving an island. And anyone who's been to Scilly, which is, I think, pretty much everyone, knows that feeling of setting off on the Solonian from the quay and watching the island slowly recede into a speck on the distance, and that sense that it might be a while before you get back to your favourite place again. It's called God Love You for Letting Me Go.
An island is a place to love and to leave, and I love you and I leave you every night in my sleep. The world out there calls to me, curses me, kills me so. I've got to be gone just to know I was home. And watching you wave me off from the quayside, I knew you'd always be in tow. But God love you for letting me go. the grey waves and the rattling railways. I saw wondrous old cities and black mountainsides, and I thought of you back where the tide creeps in so slow. But the stillness of an island felt no more my own. The faith you fed to me did not keep you so close, and your God left my side long ago. But God love you for letting me go. God love you for letting me go. When the call came, I drew lots with the waves and sailed my way home under skies filled with signs. I saw the world weighed down by what's left behind, an island and a love both shrinking with time. I had not one word for your whispering bedside, so you took the words from me and spoke. You said, God love you for letting me go. God love you for letting me go.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is our very final song. Oh, I know.
Encore!
Well, not yet. Well, you know how this works. So this is our reworking of the lioness myth. If you can remember, we talked about that in the first half, when the land was all inundated by the sea. We've tried to kind of reinterpret the myth for the modern age, much like T.S. Elliott would, perhaps. So it's got all the kind of Arthurian imagery of drowned landscapes and bells beneath the sea and white horses charging across the waves, all that stuff. But it also kind of looks back from a post-apocalyptic future where all the kind of plastic detritus of our modern world has been engulfed by a terrible kind of tsunami of disaster. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I've got a few thank yous to say. Big thank you to this incredible venue that deserves incredible plaudits for keeping independent music going in London. So let's hear it for Green Note. And big round of applause for Oscar on the sound desk, who's done an incredible job. Finally, John and I would like to thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you.
heavy with the brown. I go out into the night, my fortune's all at sea, and my time a stall in the lights beneath the bay, where the old book was drowned, a song of yesterday. I can hear it calling, and as I row, the visions roll from a buried time. Taste the salty hymns and see the white horse rising, church bells ringing out 50 fathoms deep, a line of prayers smothered where man lies asleep. Oh, fine night to go adrift above the sunken tamarisk, a light, a light, a light, a light upon the ocean floor, or to be the last one left to see the land of lioness tonight. Somewhere in the sunken world where I was never born, a limpet braced against the storm, and still I cling there, or stirring up the oil of stories just like mine. Fossilized hard drives, the junk of nowhere, haul a net from the foam, you'll find no ancient gold. Mobile phones and finger bones and plastic love knots, a coral crusted slot machine, timelines all crossed, voices from my childhood dreams muffled in the sea moss. Call my name, I can't resist to dream the land beneath all this, a light, a light, a light, a light upon the ocean floor. Oh, that I should be so blessed to see the land of lioness tonight. So many things are sunk, my son, they say the sinking's just begun, that gods will dive just to forget and feast on our great concrete wrecks, sealed lovers' outstretched hands, eye sockets full of sand, a pacemaker bubbling slow in the twisted cargo, our footsteps on the cold seabed, a tempest rising in my head, a sea-worn plastic crucifix that floats above metropolis, to scream and see the seawall split, to slay that chapter is not writ, beneath the weight of future myths, and all the while the waters lift, the seas are heaven-bound once more, a light upon the ocean floor, but we could have done nothing more, a myth itself that haunts the shore, down here where I take my rest, in the land of lioness. Oh, in the land of lioness tonight. Piers, Lewin, everybody!
John Elliott.
Thank you, have a lovely night, thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much indeed. Well, thank you. That's very, very nice of you. It's such a farce, isn't it? The whole encore thing. You know, you all know we've got another tune. And so, at least this venue has somewhere we can go and hide. Some venues we're just on stage, kind of. We can't escape. We can't go off stage. It's like, well, someone needs to rethink that whole encore situation. Anyway, we're going to play another tune. This is actually the very first tune I wrote after having a kind of a 10-year gap from playing any music at all. I trained as a classical oboist long time ago when I was small, yeah, I think I just got disillusioned by the way that kind of Western classical music is sort of forced into small children, myself included. So I needed kind of like 10 years detox. When I came back to music, I was kind of really inspired by the idea of writing music of place.
Sorry, Piers.
That was a nice noise. How did you do that? Can you do it again?
I was trying to get my foot tambourine on.
The bloody foot tambourine.
Foot tambourine.
So yes, where was I?
Sorry, you were talking about your childhood self.
Oh yes, I was talking about myself as a child. That's probably less... I'm just going to cut to the chase. We're going to play a set of tunes called the Conga Reels, which is funny, yeah? No? Yeah, okay, thanks. I thought so. It's also, Porth Conga is where the pub is on St Agnes and where the boats come in. So these are the Conga Reels.
Cheers, good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming.